Hi, I'm Violet Moore.
I'm Spencer Ames, and we are students of Jacob Simpson from Columbia University's Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation. Today we'll be talking about a proposal for Sceaux's Halle du Marche. The Halle du Marche is situated in Sceaux's city center, just north of the Parc de Sceaux, and the building occupies a 945 square meter lot.
When the Arnaud Railway shut down, the municipal council seized the opportunity to acquire the station land. Municipal architect Chaudezeg drew up the plans for a market hall in the style of Victor Baltard, and finally it was built in 1895. The market opened prior to 1880, and after the building was constructed, the market moved into the building and has since been held there every Wednesday and Saturday morning.
The building was renovated in 2003 by Cispio architects for around 1.4 million euros, mostly focusing on updating heritage architecture standards, food safety standards, and fire safety standards, while maintaining the Baltard-style structure and facade. Cispio collaborated with two heritage architects since the building is designated as a C4 historic site, meaning that we cannot touch the structure.
As you can see, the space is currently greatly underused and operating less than 20 hours per week. While there are a sufficient amount of vendors in the market on Wednesdays and Saturdays, the immovable nature of the stands limits the function of the space. This is further reflected in the biomarket on Sundays. The market must be held outside, regardless of the weather, meaning that there is a great fluctuation in attendance between seasons. Our first visit to the market was on a Sunday for the biomarket. When we arrived, there were only 12 vendors and approximately 50 customers shopping at noon.
As church service let out, people spilled onto the plaza outside, many turning to the market as their next destination. The two adjacent bistros were likewise very busy. Despite the crowd outside, there was nothing going on inside the market hall itself. The dozens of vendor stands stood completely empty, many of which were hardly any different from operating hours. Moving on, we chose 3 sites as our benchmarks. The first one is the Ames, an industrial adaptive reuse project. It started as a factory and was transformed into an artist studio. It has this huge central corridor with studios pushed to the side, and this openness allows for more flexibility in programming, such as having multiple different activities at once. Our second benchmark is the Enfant Rouge Market, which is the first covered market dating back to 1615. It has grocery and prepared food, which makes it a very lively environment. In addition to its long hours, this brings in a lot of customers, creating a positive feedback loop. Our third and final benchmark is the SESC Pompeia. This is also an adaptive reuse space, but it's actually a community hub, and we chose this because it had some unique programming approaches to engage different demographics. We can evaluate these 3 benchmarks using a framework from Nicola Dempsey's Quality of the Built Environment that we saw in Mr. Simpson's class. Starting with the visual artistic tradition, this is concerned with heritage and aesthetics. The second is the social usage tradition, concerned with the social production of space. The third is the making places tradition, a combination of the two plus future thinking, the future social production of space. Each of these corresponds to one of our benchmarks. The Almazet represents the visual artistic tradition, since it has that huge open space that allows for flexibility, while adhering to preservation standards. The Enfant Rouge Market corresponds to the social usage tradition, since it has that mix of products plus longer hours, which generates more customers. And the SESC Pompeia corresponds to the making places tradition, since it has a bunch of different community hub activities that engage different demographics.
For feedback, we interviewed Patrick Shen, an artisanal tofu maker who recently quit participating in Sceaux's market. Our interview focused on the reasons behind his decision. Mr. Shen told us that he mostly goes to farmers markets, such as the Marche de Sceaux, for exposure rather than profit. He finds his niche of customers and then tells them what stores carry his tofu nearby.
But in So, he found the older customer base to be largely uninterested in his products. Markets evolve a lot, he said. You can see the difference between generations. By tradition, Marche de So opens at 8, but according to Patrick, he hardly ever saw a customer before 10:30. Patrick helped us to realize that there are a few disparities between different demographics of customers and vendors. We determined that they could be roughly grouped into traditional and emerging categories, each with their own circumstances and motivations. We see this as the largest threat to Marche de So's success right now. Let's take a step back and consider Marche de So's other strengths and weaknesses.
First, for its strengths, it's a beautiful space in the heart of town and has been the largest gathering point in So for over 150 years. The 2003 renovation means that the building is in good condition.
But for the weaknesses, it suffers from inconsistent spatial arrangement and usage over time, as well as those preservation constraints.
Both of these influence the opportunities that we see moving forward. Firstly, the market is empty for long periods of time, and secondly, the younger customer base is largely untapped.
At the same time, we have to keep in mind the threats, such as the disparity between demographics, and the fact that traditionalists will likely resist if the proposal is too radical. Taking this analysis all together, we think this makes the Marche de So an excellent candidate for transformation into a more cohesive community hub.
Which brings us to our proposal. It focuses on adapting the existing building into a food and cultural center through minimal physical interventions and a reimagining of the programming to make the Halle du Marche an integral part of So's livelihood. Physically, we propose replacing the center of the market with an open multi-purpose space whilst maintaining vendors along the interior periphery. Programmatically, we suggest maintaining the 3 current market days for consistency. In addition to the weekly markets, we suggest a few new ways to engage So's community. For example, a chef in residence program, which would follow the framework of an artist in residence. We would recommend inviting a chef to host a pop-up restaurant and utilize the market's produce. Also, we would suggest cooking classes for children on Wednesdays and for adults on the weekends and afternoons or evenings.
Because of the flexible open space, the all could be rented out or host cultural events such as live music, art shows, dancing, and more during the evenings that cooking classes are not being held.
Furthermore, we suggest expanding the market's current food production to include prepared and made-to-order food. During the market days, the central space could be used for seating so people can enjoy a meal. Prior to the construction of the Halle du Marche, an open-air market was held in So. The market was originally open on Saturdays year-round and on Wednesdays during the summer. After speaking with Patrick, as well as our experience visiting, we suggest returning the market to these hours. With our plans implemented, the Marche would become a place that is utilized throughout the week. That being said, clear communication to the public is essential to adequately promoting Marche de So's changes.
On market days, we plan for some vendors to set up outside the way they currently do on Sundays to encourage flow.
Whereas on non-market days, vendors won't be able to keep things out in the open anymore, so we added a large storage room along the northern back wall.
This proposal will involve coordinating city government, market management, architects and heritage architects, vendors, and residents. We propose a simple 4-phase implementation plan, and our estimate places the cost under 2 million euros.
In this stakeholder analysis, we try to imagine how different demographics would react to these changes. We want to recognize that value is subjective and context dependent.
Returning to our evaluation framework, let's look at the current state of Halle du Marche in comparison to the proposal we have made today. In the visual artistic tradition, our proposal is quite consistent with the 2003 renovation, focusing on preserving the exterior while changing the interior. In the social usage tradition, the market was historically a great place for everyone to get their groceries and goods. However, new types of customers and vendors are emerging and need to be better accommodated. Our proposal seeks to do so without alienating traditionalists. In the making places tradition, we look at specifically what needs to change. Marche de Sceaux is currently rigid and proving difficult to maintain interest across generations. To respond to that, we can introduce more flexibility in both the physical space and the way we use that space.
We believe that Sceaux's Market Hall is a great opportunity for minimal investment to translate into a more meaningful social hub in the heart of Sceaux. Here are some of the sources that we looked at for today's project. Thank you so much for your time, and of course, thank you for Mr. Simpson's advice on our project, and we hope you have a great day.